Hi, I'm Paco Nathan with O'Reilly Media, and here at the O'Reilly Artificial Intelligence Conference in New York City. And today, it's a pleasure to be joined by Prince Harfouche, Principal at Deloitte Consulting. Prince, very good to meet you.
It's a pleasure meeting you.
Wonderful. I wanted to ask you about where Deloitte is positioned right now with respect to AI. I understand Gartner has placed Deloitte in the Magic Quadrant.
Yeah, it was great news that we got recognized in the market for the investment we're doing in AI. So we're taking AI very serious because we believe AI will change the market. So initially, and we've been always in the top quadrant,
right,
especially around execution and completion of vision. But this year, we were pioneering the idea of how to apply AI into the business and integrate it into the functions of the business. So we were first in execution for a few years. Now we are first in execution and vision, and the completion of vision is what will put us on the top of the quadrant. Now, it's not a surprise for us because, again, it's one of our market offering that we take to market. We build talent around it, we build assets around it, and we build alliances that make our go-to-market service to our clients more integrated into an ecosystem. So it's not like we go in and fix a problem and get out.
Right.
We're becoming more like a partnership with our clients to help them actually bring AI to the front of their business and change the way they're doing the business.
And bringing in an ecosystem of...
The ecosystem is a combination of, basically call it assets, which basically algorithms build that they can deploy and run in the back end. Alliances, we have alliances with Apple, with Google, with Amazon, and with all the other big vendors. Even we have alliances with IBM Watson. And what we do with SaaS, what we do with all of these alliances is just like leverage what APIs they have, capabilities they have, with what we have, and bring the talent and the breadth of experience in different areas for every business, and help the business achieve their goals.
Fantastic.
So it's a complete view of how we implement AI. It's not a silent vision, and that's why the execution and the vision has to go hand in hand. And that, I think, what makes us on the top of the quadrant with the Gartner.
Oh, fantastic. Now, could you speak to how that develops competitive advantage for your customers?
Yeah, so the competitive advantage is a combination of components to get there. First, they have to have an understanding of what they are not leveraging. A lot of the clients today, they build their intelligence based on the data they have access to. Most of the time, the data they have access to is the data they had access to for the last 10 years.
Interesting.
But there's a lot of dark data they never leveraged. They never really tried to look into it because technology is either expensive or the work to do that is going to become, you have to re-engineer the way they run into or extract data. So the way we are trying to handle that is helping our clients leverage these dark data sets, try to leverage that data to build insights. The insights will help them understand better the business they're running. So that's one component of competitive advantage.
Okay.
The other component is how to activate these insights, how to activate them in a way that release an impact, will have an impact on the results of their business. Sometimes it changes the way they do the work.
Right.
So that's the second component. So activating the insights, leveraging data to find insights. And the third component is building the ecosystem for them, which basically means if they have talent or lack of talent, we can support with that. If they have a lack of infrastructure, we can help them build that. If they feel their infrastructure and talent is there, but yet they feel out of the world, we help them get integrated into a bigger, better ecosystem so they can execute data extraction, insight activation in cheaper and most effectiveness, like much more effective for them. So it's a combination of the components that give our clients a competitive advantage. Some of our competitors, I would say, they stress more on insights only. Extracting insight is powerful, but not knowing how to activate insights is a missing link in the chain. The third one, which is even more important, okay, you can build a pilot, you can extract an insight, you can activate it, but it's just a pilot. What about having an ongoing service? What about looking into multiple areas, multiple siloed areas in your business where you can connect them all together?
Right.
To have a platform to be more effective in the way you do a service or you sell your product or you activate your business. So doing all of insight generation, insight activation and actually building the system or the ecosystem to effectively deliver that, that's what I feel is making us look more of a good partner with our clients to deliver this value.
It sounds like the third component is also speaking toward roadmap, that these companies really need to plan that out.
It is the roadmap. It is call it the blueprint. It is about understanding what data they have, what technology they actually own, what the processes that they kind of build around their systems, and what analytics they build. It's a component of 4.
Okay.
And on top of these 4, do they have the people to achieve the vision they have? Different skills with different areas. So just understanding all of these components, the data, the analytics, the technology, the people, and the processes, and trying kind of not necessarily re-engineer, but optimize in a way that they can leverage their dark data, they can extract their insights, they can activate their insights, and they can run their business in an impactful way.
Excellent. Now, in terms of dark data, would this sometimes be comprised of, say, data exhaust, or what would have been considered data exhaust in previous time?
Well, previously, all the on-premise data that they've been looking at, call it risk data, financial data, marketing data, they've been like aligned in a organized, structured way.
Okay.
That required money to maintain, of course, people to look into things, to build tables, fields, attributes, rows, and columns. When we start getting into the big data realm, everything changed, because you start talking about a lot of data within the firm and outside the firm. Now, you can see in the market a lot of people focus on the data that sits outside the walls of the firm. Social media data, Internet of Things data, and even data that they can leverage to build insights. But that is external data. It could be dark as well, because they never leveraged before. But we talk also more about the internal data within the walls. There's a lot of data in the form of images. How many times, or for the last 10, 20 years, our clients have a lot of financial contracts, legal contracts. They have a lot of documents about everything they signed, if it's a mortgage, if it's a deal, if it's a partnership. All of these contracts scanned, thrown in a PDF in the back end. Nobody really look at them. There's a lot of, every time you make a phone call to a credit card, that phone call gets recorded. That voice record sits somewhere in a low quality, I would say, it's multi-channel, low quality voice record that nobody really analyze or look at.
Interesting.
So voice records, images, text, emails, even things, so this is by itself is a huge body of dark data, never been leveraged. Today, the technology is enabling, and there are a lot of APIs out there. Google has, Amazon, Apple, and as well as we have, assets where you can extract from these images, analyze these voice records, to look into all this backlog of things that's never been looked at to understand customer experience better, to understand the needs of your customers, how to market and optimize marketing spending and campaigning better. So that is the value. And if I can add one more thing is sometimes, and which was more effective things, back in the days, within the firm, the data is siloed. They don't integrate. We're using technology now to merge the data together, to make it more uniform, like more a fabric-like, to be able to extract insights.
I can imagine that requires a lot of culture change in some organizations.
It does. Culture and training. So we have to adapt to change. Give you example. And I believe that our data scientists back in the days, they used to know 1 or 2 of the packages out there to do their work. Today, they need to do that. They have to do more of the training around the new open sources like Python, Spark, and C Sharp and other that's out there. And what's interesting with our alliances, like with Apple and Google and Amazon, we're doing even bootcamp training on Google APIs and Amazon APIs. Why? Because our data scientists need just not to be always careful of understanding what's the latest and the most powerful tool out there that they can use to help our clients. So it's culture change within our firm to how to serve our clients, and it's culture change for our clients to understand that the world is changing.
Bring in that ecosystem again.
Exactly, the world is changing. The things that you used to do, especially in middle office, back office, operational work, all of that, I would say it's all around the cost reduction and effectiveness, but also all of that has to be redesigned, re-engineered. The processes has to be rewritten. The technology is already shifting. So yes, it requires a lot of change management there.
Fantastic. One question, I know that Deloitte has been using the term the age of with. I wanted to understand a little bit more about the history of this and just digging into the details.
AI coined in the 60s, and everybody, when you think about the AI, you think the robot is going to come, take over the world, and just eliminate human beings. There's something right about it. It actually carried over the years, and everybody started thinking, when I'm going to activating AI in my business, am I eliminating humans? So we start realizing it's not at all. AI is overrated, at least for now. The way that's being, the perception about AI, about taking over jobs, is not necessarily accurate.
Right.
Maybe in 100 years from now, when AI takes the next level or next shift and the evolvement, we may start thinking about even eliminating some jobs. But AI today only take, or I would say automation will only take from AI, which is a segment of it, the low-hanging fruit of the jobs, especially about data entry and data extraction.
Right.
What we believe, and we started campaigning around that in Deloitte 2 years ago and even before, the age of with is, we're saying that it's not the age of humans or machines. It's the age of humans with machines. We believe machines and AI should be an augmented tool. It should be the bionic arm provided to humans to do their jobs better, more effective. So it's we believe in AI, not artificial intelligence. We believe in AI as augmented intelligence, which is human and machine together.
Now, that's going to require a lot more feedback loops, a lot more notions of human intervention in AI. I can imagine there's this kind of collaboration rolling out.
It is, and the change management you mentioned earlier is you're 100% right. What's happening now, so there are early adapters of AI, firms that adapting AI early.
Right.
And those who are doing AI, adoption of AI early, they're trying to look into their systems and say, what is the right mix? What is the right balance between having AI and humans, or machine and humans? How much machine, how much a human? And it depends also in what level at your job you need AI.
Interesting.
Like, for example, if you are at a C-suite level, your AI to you is basically a dashboard that gives you a drill-down capability to understand every moving part in your business. AI will help integrate data together, build metrics, and track things. If you're in a lower level, depending on your function, you may need the AI to help you better understand how you campaign in your marketing. But you're not going to necessarily rely heavily on it. You will use it to understand the market better, to build insights. And then you start thinking, okay, how I can use these insights in better addressing my customers. And yet, if that is the answer, am I making enough impact? And if I'm making enough impact, am I spending enough on AI? And to go with the loop to see, okay, what's the right balance between AI and human, and how you integrate that into a process.
I can imagine over the period of the past couple of years, you've seen a wide variety of different verticals, different stages of maturity for companies. It's not all the same at each company.
Not really. Early adopters, I would say, they had the competitive advantage. And again, it's about believing that AI is going to change your business. These believers, they are coming to believe now that maybe they're late in the game and they're pushing harder. So some of the clients we serve, and surprisingly, big firms adapt AI slower because the change management will take an impact there.
Right.
And mostly their adaptation to AI is triggered by responding to regulatory asks. In other words, they have regulatory asks to do risk metrics and risk measurements and build things to address regulatory needs around, say, CCAR and Basel and others.
Right.
So they build a platform of data scientists to help addressing that.
Right.
Once that's maturing, they have now the capability. And they're like, okay, how we can tweak our capabilities to start addressing things that are internal, or even how to grow our business in a different way, or looking into our business in a different way. So while smaller firms are more nimble, they adapt it, they look at the value, they see the impact quickly, and they start building on it. So yeah, different maturity levels for different firms, and even different aggressiveness in adapting AI between firms, depending on how much they believe and how that integrates with their vision.
Right. Some are probably more automated, maybe more people,
Yes.
more machines. It's a trade-off in different companies.
Exactly.
Interesting. It sounds also like in terms of introducing regulatory structure in companies, initially there are risks for that, but then eventually that can mature into opportunities.
A lot. So even the regulators, the way they're asking the firms today to do things, changing over the time. Right. So basically in the beginning, like let's say as an example, Basel was very basic, based on certain criteria for firms to respond to. And at some point they went into Basel II, then Basel III, and now they're introducing ideas about they need to understand behavioral risk, let's say, and that's in the market trading as an example. So when the regulator is asking the firms to start looking into transactional data and start looking at behaviors, these firms has to build AI functions, not just building metrics and simple regressions. They have to go into the depth understanding different criteria of data and even building insights of alternative data from alternative. So all of this is driving the business to adapt AI indirectly if they're not really doing it directly, because they have to address that need. So basically what I'm saying is adoption, and where change is coming, adoption of AI is today, I believe everybody believe it's a fact. How quick you need to adapt to AI, that's the question. Right. And how far behind you are, depending on when you started, also another question.
Right. Some of these transformations can take a lot of time.
It will take time. It's time.
They haven't invested yet.
Exactly. So depending on what business, how big is the business, in what industry.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that I can say that in the financial services we believe, where I serve most of the time, we believe that the financial services are very advanced in AI. Actually, not really. Healthcare, as an example, they are doing a lot of advances in AI. And other sub-industries and sectors, they start doing more, they're moving towards AI much more faster than we anticipated.
Interesting.
So sometimes it's not that the regulatory push make you start building like analytics arm in your firm and leveraging that. Sometimes just they feel it's a better way to do business. Their margins are thin, and the best way to do it is to involve AI to have a competitive advantage to grow their business. So also the way they approach AI is different.
Interesting. Can you give an example out of healthcare?
In healthcare, they're using it to understand better the effect of medicine. They're using it even to understand the behavior of people. Give you an example. When you do trials of the medicine, back in the days, it was very difficult to track it over a population of patients because data is silent, because data is not there. Even recently in DU, in our university in Dallas, in Deloitte, we hosted a doctor who actually does treat for certain sickness. I forgot the name, but the way he did it, it was a lot of paperwork trails that he was actually tracking for 10 years.
Interesting.
And he came to us like, how about I can use data science and AI? We used AI, we did image recognition, we extracted all the stuff, we started building trends for him, and we started identifying from thousands of combinations that he was trying to direct him where to go. And actually the effectiveness of the medicine he's working on is like, it changed the game for him. I'm just giving you an example.
Yeah.
Now, again, when I talk about patients as an example, when you start pulling different patients' data together and tracking things, not just by one lab, multiples, and looking at the trials, you can have much more insights today. Technologies today is helping a lot. If you notice, if you are Googling online, a lot of us now, instead of Googling anything, we just ask the voice. We just so the behavior of how even we interact with technology is changing.
Yeah, interesting. There was another point too. One thing that I've heard, I want to run by you. I think a lot of people look at the introduction of hardware, really core technology. Maybe they're using GPUs now. They're doing some deep learning on GPUs, but it's not really the machines so much that are the change. It seems like there's process that's hard.
It's the way we are treating the machine. In other words, algorithm building and regressions and gradient boost. As an example, if I'm going to go technical, gradient boost, like in the open source now, is being introduced as a machine learning technique. In actually in its origin, it's another form of what we used to use as a multivariate regression, but we're trying to taking the error and rebuild on more intelligence, understanding that, and in an automated way. So what I'm trying to say is, today, we are trying to take what we knew before and apply it on the new technology that's evolving. And the interaction is getting richer every day. So if you read about how AI is evolving, they say it's exponentially evolving. Actually, the more you adapt it, the more people like it, the more people see the impact of it, the evolvement of AI will grow exponentially, as we would expect. So yes, I agree with you. The way you interact with the machine will define the impact. It's not the machine, it's how you interact with it. That's why we say
Excellent.
It's the human with machine. Human is the major factor here.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Prince.
Thank you. Thanks.
Wonderful.